Ooh. Well, I hope y'all doing wonderful on this here beautiful Friday. Um, make sure my mic is still on, cause my mic's still on. I don't even know if that's even what they really said. But anyway, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's your big dog, your host with the most, the real Tank Nicole. Back with another mother sucking video, baby. Y'all know what it is. It's the movie break, which is where I watch a movie, break a movie down, recap the movie a little bit for you, and then give my opinion on what I feel. And sometimes you just gotta dig in that closet and find the movies. And y'all know when the laptop's out, there's some notes to be had. Okay? All right now. Now, in episode 10, we did a little trivia. If you don't remember, then you should probably go watch it. Because if you watch this, you get ready to get the answers. And if you answer after this is posted, then I'm going to know you cheated. I'm going to know you cheated. I'm going to know. Well, last week's movie trivia questions went as follow. How old was Denzel Washington in Training Day? He was 43. What was Spike Lee's first film? She Gotta Have It. What was Martin Lawrence's first film? Do the Right Thing. What was Lynn Whitfield's first film? Dr. Detroit. What was the biggest grossing movie in the year 1995? Die Hard with a Vengeance was the top selling movie that year. And now that you have those answers, you got more trivia questions to answer. First trivia question for today is name 5 movies Tyler Perry acted in but did not write or direct. And yes, there's plenty of them to find. What was Jamie Foxx's first movie and the year the movie came out? What movie did Kevin Bacon play a revengeful father and goes to war with a gang by himself? And yes, there's a movie out there like that. You just better do your research. What date did Ray the movie come out? And when I say date, I mean month, day, and year. You can find it because I did. Name 2 movies, short films, whatever you want to call them, that Snoop Dogg and Master P did together. Acted in. There's only 2 answers that I was able to find. If you find out some more, I'll give you bonus points for it. But those are your trivia questions for this episode. You'll get the answers next episode. But I know y'all not used to me opening up the pod that way because my first 9 episodes, I opened it up by telling you what movies I watched. Well, as I was giving you the trivia questions, you probably just seen the flash of the movies that I've watched. And the one for today that we're going to talk about is I discovered and found out by asking my mother is her favorite movie of a special character. Today's episode is Ricochet. This is my mother's favorite Denzel Washington movie. And yes, I just gave it away who one of the characters is. However, the movie Ricochet is a movie based off of Denzel Washington starring as an assistant DA who must face off against ex-con he put away, who is out of prison and out for revenge. That's what the little screen title, you know how to get you the little caption? That's what it says. And today's episode is about Ricochet. And as y'all know, I like to give y'all the character listing. Some of these characters, I did have a longer list of characters, but as I went through the movie, I discovered some of those characters were obsolete and weren't needed. So I did start deleting people, as I seen that they were no fit for the pod. In which you can pull up the character listing on your own and go see who all was in the movie if you would like to. But I didn't feel the need. Some people got honorable mentionings for a reason. But to start off, the character listing goes as follows: the man of the hour, Denzel Washington, who plays Nick Styles. Ice-T, who played Odysseus. John Amos played Reverend Styles, which was Nick's father. Starletta DePose played Mimi Styles, which was Nick's mother. Um, John Cothran, who played, I think I said his name right. I apologize if I didn't, but played Councilman Ferris. Victoria Dillard played Alice Styles, which was Nick Styles' wife. And then they also had two children, which I discovered their names after doing some research, which their names was Lisa and Monica Styles, I believe, and their real names are Kimberly Natasha Ali and Aaliyah Jones. I do not have pictures for them, so I'm sorry. You can. I couldn't really find anything on either one of them. I know Kimberly Natasha Ali is Tatiana Ali's sister, I believe, but I couldn't really find like clear pictures of these people, so I apologize. But I did want to throw out that the two little girls that played their daughter, that's what those young ladies' names were in real life, at least. But continuing with the rest of the cast. We left from Victoria. Oh, we got Mr. John Lithgow, who played Earl Talbot Blake, and then Kevin Polk, who played Lieutenant Larry Dole. Lindsay Wagner played D.A. Priscilla Brimley, Bromley, Bromley. Mary Ellen Trainer, who played Gail Wallens, and Josh Evan, who played Kim. Now, as you got to see those characters' names and pictures, keep in mind who's who. If you can't follow, rewind back and go back and recap the names again. Write them down if you need to, because this storytelling part's getting ready to go pretty fast. So, just to break down the movie, in the beginning of the movie opens up with Denzel Washington playing basketball with his partner Larry Dole against Ice-T or Odysseus, Odysseia, and RC. They're playing basketball, and I'm gonna just say this: the stunt doubles for the basketball scenes were horrible. You can look at those and tell that was not Kevin Polk, aka Larry Dole, or Denzel Washington, aka Nick Styles. You can tell that wasn't them. Clear as day, you can tell it wasn't them. But I digress. It's a movie. Can't find stunt doubles that look like the same people all the time. Anyway, so like I said, it opens up with them playing basketball, and Nick's. I think at the time she might have been his girlfriend or crush or love interest in the beginning of the movie, which is Alice. Alice was watching him ball and all that other stuff, and then he asks her out on a date after the game and all that jazz. Now, Odysseia and Nick are cool. They grew up together, basically. Nick chose one life and Odysseus chose another. That's kind of usually how it goes in a hood story. Um, and this is like a hood suburban story almost, but basically, you know how it go. One goes on a straight and narrow, and the other one doesn't, right? Well, where's I at? Anyway, so after that, it cuts to Nick and Larry going to like this fair, okay, and they're walking around patrolling the fair, and during that time, Earl and Kim are trying to or plotting to rob a drug deal, okay. They get in there. Earl makes Kim go back to the car, and Earl goes in and try and does the work himself, right? Now it was a sting, not a sting. What's the word I'm looking for? It was an inside job, is what he said. What Earl said. He said it was an inside job. So whoever hired him to come in and shoot up the drug deal, he ended up killing them too anyway. Now Nick and Larry hear the gunshots. They get involved, and long story short, Earl and Kim end up getting arrested, right? But before Earl got arrested, he did take a hostage. This lady just coming out of the bathroom, not paying attention to her surroundings, gets snatched up by Earl. But Nick uses his smooth strategy to catch Earl off guard. Basically, he does so. He outsmarts Earl. Earl doesn't like that. Like I said, Earl gets arrested, goes to prison, but he doesn't like the fact that he got outsmarted by a cop. That pissed him off. So while he's in prison, he's plotting his revenge against Nick because he can't take the fact that he got taken down like that. Well, while in prison, you see Earl is currently in the infirmary because he did get shot in the knee by Nick. So he's in the infirmary healing and whatnot. But during that time, uh, Earl is watching Nick's life unfold in front of him on TV. Nick's all over the TV. After the bust of Earl, Nick and Larry get promoted to detective. Then 2 years later, Nick and Larry get promoted to lieutenant. And then after Nick graduates from law school, he becomes assistant DA. So he becomes an assistant district attorney. So his life is just going up after busting Earl. Now, when Earl got got released back into general population after healing from in the infirmary, he got put into a cell with, I think it was Jesse Ventura is who played the character. He got put into the cell with another guy. He ends up whooping Jesse Ventura's ass, which we know probably wouldn't happen in real life, but he ends up whooping his ass. And then they have to have like this little gladiator duel, to make it a fair fight, if you will. And he ends up killing him anyway. Basically, in the movie, Nick's character is developing into these big high roles. He's making headway, to the point where Councilman Ferris wants him to run it for politics. He wants him to be, mayor, governor, stuff like that. He wants him to take these big roles, and they are planning to open up like this children's center and stuff like that. And they're planning to open up the children's center. Nick has to go let Odysseus know, like, hey man, I'm planning to open up this center. I don't need no kids getting strung out on no drugs, so keep your ass from over there. The relationship between Nick and Odysseus is very crucial to this movie because Councilman Ferris, well, I'll get to that in a second. Where was I at? I'm kind of skipping through the movie because, like, the point of this is for you guys to go watch the movie anyway. So let's see. I talked about dude getting beat up. Oh, so Earl's been in prison for a while, and he, like he goes towards the board, but before he goes up towards the board, he has Kim switch his paperwork with this guy named Jesse. So in the movie, you see Kim switching Earl and Jesse's paperwork around, right? And at first, you're not too sure what it is, but the more you watch the movie, you find out later, and I'll tell you what it is in a second. Sorry, this is gonna be a bunch of spoilers after this. The rest of this is just straight spoilers. So if you don't want to hear it, you can skip maybe 15, 20 minutes or maybe 10 minutes. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to explain this part, but you can skip like maybe 10 minutes and jump straight to my final recap. But anyway, after Nick pressed Odysseus about the children's center, oh, Earl had a meeting with the parole board, and his attorney's like, just keep your mouth shut. Let me do most of the talking, blah, 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 blah. One of the board members asked Earl, what would be the first thing he'd do when he get out of jail. And this fool basically tells the old dude, like, I'm going to go smash your whole family, cuz. You know what I'm saying? He. But that's because he had a whole plan on escaping. And he made a one-shot bullet out of something and popped dude in the head with it. Long story short, Earl and the clan that he rallied up, most of them escaped. They do have a little shootout outside of the jail cell, and so some of his men he lose, and then everybody but Kim. He didn't lose Kim and Jesse. Remember I told you that name, Jesse. Now, they end up, getting ready to leave, and I don't know why the lawyer stuck around. Like, he dragged a hostage out and the lawyer out, and they walked out with a total of 6 people, but only 3 of them ended up getting away. And the lady hostage that he took, they dropped her on the ground and left her there, so I think she's still alive. But anyway, they end up getting away, and they're supposed to according Jesse thinks they're getting ready to leave. See, this is how gullible people are. Because when they was in the prison, he talked this man into helping him escape. Now, like I said earlier, they switched. Kim switched Jesse and Earl's stuff around. What he switched was their fingerprints and dental records. He switched their personal information around because I mean they're convicts, so they're thinking like, oh, they're not going to know that this stuff doesn't really belong to Earl. They won't know. How would they know? They don't care about us. We're just convicts. So that's what he switched. And the plot was to get out of there and use Jesse's body as a decoy to make it look like Earl crashed and killed himself. Now, what I'm gonna be honest, what threw me off though is regardless if he did all that, how do y'all not have the common sense to go actually pull DNA from the bones or whatever that you can to make sure that it really was who you thought it was. That's how dumb the police were supposed to be portrayed in this movie. Because why would you automatically assume that that's him? You know what I'm saying? But especially if you know six or seven, six, five to four to five convicts escaped. That doesn't make sense, right? But anyway, so Earl starts to pop up everywhere Nick is so that he can learn and get the best time to basically kidnap Nick, which is what he does. He eventually adult naps Nick. Um, but before he did that, he was doing weird little stuff like coming to the house while Nick and his wife weren't there. Sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. I apologize. I was looking elsewhere. But anyway, he does little stuff like that, you know, just so he can get video stuff to make Nick look crazy in the long run. So he ends up adult napping Nick and putting coke in his system, heroin in his system, drugging him up, having a prostitute smash him and give him the clap. He ended up doing a whole bunch of shit, right? But before Nick got adult napped, this is what happened. This is kind of how I feel like Nick's guard should have been up. Before Nick got adult napped, he went ahead and announced his run for, I think it might have been whichever comes first, mayor or governor, I forget. Um, he announces his running for that, and Councilman Ferris is on the committee. Well, they reached their goal of the money necessary to get Nick where he needed to be, right? Well, Councilman was going to go deposit the money into a safety deposit at the bank when he got hemmed up by Kim and Earl. As you know, they ended up killing him. But what they did was so dirty, man. I'm not gonna tell you what they did. That's one thing I won't spoil. Go watch the movie and you'll see how they did Councilman Ferris. Well, after that, I thought Nick's guard would have been up, but apparently it wasn't because he ended up getting kidnapped. Just foolishness. Um, During the whole process, Earl's plan was to make Nick look like he was a liar, he was a manipulator, and he went rogue and he had went crazy. Um, and ultimately to put him in prison to show him how it feels. Basically, is what he was trying to do. So eventually, Nick starts to be able to put the pieces to the puzzle together, and he retracts his thought process. Like I tricked this fool before, and I beat him before I could do it again. So he does what he needs to do to trick Earl, and eventually he does. He overcomes Earl, and spoiler alert, he ends up killing Earl and cleaning his name up of all the shit that they try to pin on him. Now Earl was trying to flee the country when he felt like he had ruined Nick's life good enough, but it didn't stop there. Earl sent Kim to go get the passports and stuff like that for them, but when Kim walked in the room, he seen Nick and Larry in there. Now this scene I wasn't going to talk about, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it because it pissed me off. Because don't nobody do this in real life. Larry was chasing Kim down an alleyway, which to me seemed like it was a setup anyway. I feel like they already knew that they were in there because it was way too perfectly planned. But basically, Kim's running down the alleyway. Larry ends up catching him, but Earl's up top and ends up pow, 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 killing Larry. Earl throws the gun to Nick, and Nick's dumbass catches it. Why would he give you a loaded gun? Okay? Like, make it make sense. Why would your enemy give you a loaded gun to use on him that he used to kill your partner, your brother, your friend, the godfather of your daughters? Why would he? Like, come on now. That was the dumbest shit ever. Because that's one thing he could have avoided to being framed for. But nope. He had to catch it. But anyway, like I said, eventually Nick overpowers and wins the situation anyway. But things that I didn't notice. I already talked about the stunt doubles and the paperwork being switched between uh Earl and Jesse. Like I said, it was the fingerprints and dental records that was switched by Kim to make it, to help Earl slide underneath the radars. He's a ghost, basically. I also already talked about Nick catching the gun, but one thing that made me aggravated is when they were escaping the prison, the old man, if he would have just kept his mouth shut, he, hey, young man, do you like those books? And he got his dumb ass killed. That's what set off the shootout at the prison. It's because he kept opening his mouth instead of, I wouldn't even have said nothing. The dude already gave off crazy man vibes, but Earl ended up killing the old dude that gave him the books at the prison. Another thing that stood out to me, or did I looked at, is why is it every time in a movie there's a white babysitter that's watching some black kids and they do some dumb shit? Obsessed. White babysitter. Letting people she don't know in the house. This movie, white babysitter. Even though Earl pretended like he was a power man, since when do the power men come into your house? Since when? Since never. And her foolish ass let this man in the house. He done drugged her. Probably drugged the kids too. Hell, I don't know. But he just, man, it just blew my mind that the babysitter was that gullible to let that man in her house. Because he could have killed, well, not her house, but let that man into Alice and Nick's house. He could have killed all three of them. She didn't know if he really was a power man or not. She just took his uniform and ran with it with her stupid self. Why didn't Councilman Ferris have a gun? Like, how did he let them suckers just roll up on him like that with all that money he was carrying? Why you didn't have no gun? Then you gonna try to tell Larry that you didn't need no help because this was your city, this was your area, your town, whatever he said, and still got your ass popped. The foolishness, I tell you, the foolishness. Also, the strip club that Earl and Kim was in, it was a white strip club, I think. Whoever that heavy set white lady was in the back that was doing this, they should have paid her extra. She can't dance, but they should have paid her extra because that shit was embarrassing and nasty. I know they wasn't doing nothing but trying to paint it realistic, but didn't nobody want to see that. Saggy titties, saggy stomach, and just in there shimmying that shit up. And they kept showing her too, and it was so disgustingly gross. And it had I'm not fat shaming. It was just nasty that y'all had her titties all. I didn't want to see, like, they could have did without the strip club scene. I'm gonna keep it a buck. We all know what a strip club is. Then there's this one little skinny girl. She was walking with her little booty cheeks flapping. Did nobody want to see that? Nobody wanted to see that. But I get it. Sex sells. So maybe somebody did want to see it. I didn't want to see it, I guess I should say. But they could have did without that scene for me. I don't even know what it did for the plot. Oh, you know what? Did it happen before or after he brought the little prostitute? Oh, they were at the bar when, yeah, okay. So actually, no. Well, they still didn't need this. They could have had him at a regular bar. They didn't need him to be at a strip club to get our attention that he was watching Nick on TV. He was fascinated. I guess, okay, maybe that's why. Okay, maybe they were trying to show how much of a hard on this nigga Earl had for Nick, that he in a strip club full of women but couldn't focus on nothing else but Nick. Maybe I'm coming to a revelation as to why they had that scene like that. Never mind. Okay, I be jumping the gun sometimes, y'all. Y'all see that, and I'll catch myself and put pieces to the puzzle together. Um, but they really could have. They could have just told her to do this. She could have just been swaying. She ain't had to be shaking them saggy titties. She ain't had to shake them. She could have just been swaying, swaying, swaying. They got her in there shaking them saggy titties. They didn't have to do her like that. I feel like they disrespectful for doing her like that, and she disrespectful to herself for allowing them to do her like that. Cause I'd be like, I ain't gonna be on no screen shaking my saggy titties. I'm sorry, y'all. I need Jesus. Um, but in that quick little rundown about the movie, basically the movie is about a good guy fighting a bad guy trying to destroy good guy because he felt like good guy destroyed him. In a nutshell, that's basically what it's about. Me, I would have to say, in a way, everybody betrayed Nick when this stuff first started happening because nobody wanted to believe him when he told them, like, yo, this fool Earl is alive, bro. This man didn't kidnap me. He didn't rape me. Not him per se, but he had me raped by a woman. And he didn't shot me up with drugs. I'm telling y'all, and in this pool, like he's telling all this stuff, and Larry didn't believe him at first. I feel like, no, actually I take that back. I think Larry was the only one who believed me. But um DA, my brain just lost what her name is. DA Priscilla. She didn't believe him. And granted, she didn't want to believe him because when he was trying to show her the videotape that was sent to him, it had got switched with the prostitute video. But even in that video, you can see Buddy is dead to the world. Like, this is how he looked in the video. So you telling me the look of a man like this, while a woman is straddling him, that he's alert? And he, like, because if he was alert, he would have been into it. But instead, he looked like he was dead. That pissed me off too. Like, how you don't believe what he telling you? And then the scenery is in a pool. Then Alice, good old Alice, she was 50-50 with it. She partially believed him, but then she partially didn't. But at the same time, she still had his back because she didn't do what most wives and movie wives would have did. They would have packed that shit up and left. They would have packed it up, got up out of there. But she did stick it out with her husband because she didn't just run off and leave him for until he was proven innocent. She allowed him to prove his own innocence. But in a way, they all still kind of betrayed him because it was like they didn't want to believe him at first. He had to go through all this extraneous stuff to prove that he was really innocent and that this man was alive. If my husband tells me that the man he put in prison is possibly possibly escaped and actually is still alive and he's doing all this stuff, especially if I know my husband, and this is out of the norm, I'm not even gonna question that he wrong. I'm gonna do everything I can to support, to figure out and help him nip this shit in the bud. Because honestly, if everybody would have had his back and some support, they would have caught Earl a long time ago and would have shut that down. But of course, it's a movie, so you gotta sell that suspense. But I hate that Larry got popped and got killed. But at the same time, it was Larry's fault because I would have shot Kim's ass before he made it too far. I would have shot him in his ass. He wouldn't even have been able to make it far. But no, he trying to keep him alive. I would have shot him in his ass. He'd have been like old boy was in Three Strikes, ass in the air. Stacy. Um, but yeah, the amount of foolishness that Nick had to go through to prove his innocence was a bit much. But that also shows you how the system works. You know, guilty until proven innocent. Because it ain't innocent until proven guilty. It's guilty until proven innocent. And he went through, and the stuff he had to go through, to me, didn't really clear his name in a way. I mean, it proved that the old boy was alive, but who's to say that some of that stuff wasn't real? I mean, granted, we know it wasn't, but all it did was prove that he was alive. But I digress. Um, This movie was I is oh, and by the way, this movie got 6.2 on IMDb, 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.3 on a letterbox. I don't know what that means. As far as letterbox, I've never heard of it. Um the budget for this movie was like 19 million as well. Uh but this movie, the length of this movie was approximately an hour and 42 minutes. I forget that when you watch it on certain apps, they be adding time for other stuff. But it was an hour and 42 minutes long. I'm not gonna lie, some of the movie was kind of either pointless, redundant, but it really was worth watching. Um, it's it's not gonna be on my return to watch list. Like I'm gonna go watch it again later today type thing. But I definitely would watch that movie again. One to catch and make sure that I didn't miss nothing because I could have. It was my first time watching this movie. I had never seen it before. This movie is the same age as my sister, 33 years old. So I might have missed some things. So I definitely would rewatch it. I'm not gonna like. It's not a back to backer for me. But I could see why it's my mom's favorite movie because it is a really good movie. It kind of reminds me of there's two other movies that it reminds me of. With as far as like a father going to far extents. I won't say the name of the movies because I just thought about it. They're part of the questions that I asked, so I won't say the name of the movies now that I just thought about it. But yeah, guys, that's that's pretty much it today. I still want to thank you guys for tuning in every Friday and watching. I have a new series that I'm going to be starting pretty soon. Um, the TV show Break. There is a episode out currently. It was released Wednesday, so if you want to watch that, get caught up. But like I said, we're 11 episodes deep in the movie Break. So do me a favor, hit that like, comment, share, and subscribe button for me. Hit them for me. Hit them, hit them, hit them. Punch them until your screen breaks. And tell your friends to tell a friend to come tell a friend to join a friend watching another friend. Give you a movie break. It's been Tay with another movie break. It's been peaceful, y'all. See you later.